Welcome back to IGN Live from Gamescom 2018. It's time to take a look at a very cool looking game that just had its release date announced today. This is Mutant Year Zero, and Mark and Harold are here to get us up to speed on the game. Gentlemen, welcome to the IGN stage here. This is a tactical adventure game that you guys have been upfront about the fact that the combat is heavily inspired by XCOM, is that right?
Yes, we like tactical games.
Yeah, me
so
too.
XCOM being one of the major players in that field. So yeah, we haven't been inspired completely by it. We have our own background story which we build the game upon. But yes, the tactical side is quite similar to the lines of XCOM. Which
we can see here at a glance. This looks familiar to us. But there's also like exploration bits in between all the combat. Is that right? So like, what's the sort of gameplay loop? How would you describe it here?
So basically, the game is sort of divided into 3 segments. We have an exploration where the characters explore the map. They have a little torch, which makes it easier for them to spot things that they need to collect. Then when they come in contact with enemies, they switch the light off, and that's where they come into stealth, and they scout the surroundings. They find enemies that are away from the main group. They attack them in a stealthy way, and then they move on into the main battle. And as soon as you slide into a battle, you go from free exploration right into turn-based. And if you manage to live through that battle, you slide straight into free exploration again.
I see. So this is a dystopian game, right? It's post-human Earth?
Yes.
After nuclear war is reduced.
A number of things have happened. There's been a plague, there's been nuclear war, and now this is what's left behind that they have to negotiate and travel around.
So you've got a lot of mutants, mutated animals, and then sort of humanoid-ish.
Yeah.
Yes. The game is actually based upon an old Swedish role-playing game.
I wanted to bring that up,
It's which was really popular in Sweden in the 80s and in the 90s, and for some reason hasn't been turned into a video game until we knocked on the IP owner's door and asked if we could do it. So the mutants don't really know the way of life as we know it, and they come across things, artifacts that they kind of have to figure out what are. They come across an old boombox and they think it's a bomb, and if you press the red button, it will go boom.
Well, so who are we playing as? Who's our team?
Okay, well, you start out playing as Borman and Dux, which are the 2 main characters you've seen in the trailer and in previous gameplay footage we've released. And then you'll recruit more characters. So shortly after that, you'll meet Selma, which we see in the gameplay footage that you guys are running now. And later on, you will find more recruits as you play through, which you can swap in and out of the team.
But a big difference between this and XCOM is that you don't have permadeath, right?
Oh, we do. And today, we've been demoing at Gamescom to some of the press today, and we've allowed them to play in the permadeath mode. Yes, so there is a permadeath, and that's confirmed, and it's punishing everybody at the moment. No one's beaten demo yet again. And we had this at E3 where we thought the demo was a little bit too tough, so we toned it down a little bit, but still, we haven't had anybody who can actually beat it. So it's a challenge.
Yeah. You've thrown down the gauntlet there.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think we'll have to do something special if somebody actually does.
Yeah, I think so. That's, seems appropriate. Selma looks like a human. What's her deal?
Sure, she's a mutant.
She's still a mutant?
So basically, there's no humans as we know it in the zone, which is the world that the story's set in. Selma is I mean, they all come somewhere maybe from human, and that will be explained a little bit more in the story. I don't want to spoil the story.
Sure.
But Selma, yeah, she looks like a human more or less, but she has like a little horn coming out of the top of her head, and she's got some abilities which humans wouldn't have.
I see. What about skill trees? Each character has their own skill tree?
Yes. Okay. Each character has their own mutation skill tree, which you can you get points as you play through the game, which you can then spend and change the skills around, and then you can mix and match them within that player's skill tree with the depending on the encounter that you come up to. If you come up to an enemy that's got psychic powers, you can use a psychic ability, or if you need to get into a long distance, you can use some frog legs and jump across a long distance.
That sounds very handy.
Yeah, it can change the tide in a tight battle, actually.
Sure. Yeah. Tell me about the Ark. What's the Ark?
The Ark is like the main hub for the mutants. That's where you take your things that you collect in the game. You buy new weapons, grenades. You collect parts for building your weapons, and an important part of the story is told in the arc by the elder, which is like the leader of the arc,
the clan leader.
But the arc is not like an XCOM sort of base where you need to sort of manage everything to sort of keep the game going. It's kind of a place where you go to upgrade your characters and get more story.
Okay, I see. So you've got this exploration punctuated with combat, but is it? It's not an open world game, right?
Well, there's levels and areas, and some are big and some are a little bit smaller. They're all connected together, so you can actually walk from one end of the world to the other. Okay. Well, not right at the start because you will die horribly, but that's fair enough. But it's not one big open sandbox. I mean, there is a certain degree of sandbox gameplay within the large areas because you can tackle the combat in any order you want, and you can move around the enemies and ambush them and hide and sneak past them and stuff like that. So, but other than that, it's separated into definite levels. Okay. Yeah.
Talking about levels, it's all the levels in our game are handcrafted. So we want to create a world which is worth exploring. So I think the players will feel it rewarding to explore the worlds and see the different levels from snowy hills to tunnels to cities and farms
and other areas which we're not going to
and
tell
other
you about.
Areas. So what have you, or how much have you taken from the pen and paper game?
Okay, the pen and paper game, which we actually have been playing in the studio as well. The thing about the pen and paper game, it has a great universe and it's really rich, and we can pick a lot of cool things from there. But as with most role-playing games, they expect you, the player, to come up with quite a lot of ideas yourself. So we've had to take a bit of artistic license here and there, and we also, some things don't really work one-to-one from the pen and paper game. So the characters, for example, they're our own design, but they are inspired by the role-playing game, which does feature mutated animal creatures. And then the weapons, some of them are from the book, and some we've made up because we want to give you a good choice of weapons. And some of the mutations are from the book, and so we've picked some and then we've made some.
Okay.
It wasn't really our intention to create an RPG, and they would not have really given our game any justice because we would always been compared to the role-playing game. But we wanted to create a game that really meant something within the video game format, and I think we have accomplished that.
It looks like they were just collecting some scrap after battle there. So is there like a crafting element?
Okay, you've got two kind of currencies in the game. You've got scrap and you've got weapon parts. Scrap is used just as a money within the Ark. You can go and buy, like Hallie said, you can go to the Ark and you can buy supplies from the shop. The weapon parts are used to modify your weapons within the workbench. They are a currency in that shop environment.
And then we have artifacts which are rare, and you collect those, and those will give you your group a group bonus, special abilities that you will only be able to collect through those artifacts.
So we've got kind of free currencies in a way, but the artifacts are more of a collectible. It's fun to find. They've got a fun story behind them, and then they also give some group perks.
Interesting. Okay, so it's this post-human dystopian world. So what sort of weapons will we be using? And like, did you guys have fun sort of inventing what sort of weapons would be useful in this environment?
The weapons are kind of, some of them are very, some are just real-world weapons that are old weapons from ancient times. That's what we call the ancients, right? Which are our civilization. Others are a little bit more futuristic. So they're from the books. They're also to do with the ongoing story. So we won't go into too much detail there. It'll spoil it a little bit. But for the most part, you'll find scrap weapons, which are weapons just made of different things. Like Dux's original crossbow, it's a ski that's been bent to make the bow part of it. And then the rifles and things, they're just like copper piping. Borman's signature gun, it's basically a big piece of plumbing tube with gas canisters to shoot the projectiles out. So there's scrap items, there's snipers, there's shotguns, there's all sorts of different weapons.
And it looks like we're seeing right here, like you have some sort of like elemental damage? Like you can set areas on fire, is that right?
Yeah. You've got like Molotov cocktails. They're pretty good. You can drive enemies away from a certain area. Some enemies, like robots, they're not affected. They'll just wander through that.
Sure.
But also the player can pick up armor and things like that, which protects them against elemental damage, so they can walk through it themselves. But you can also destroy with grenades, with hand grenades. You can destroy a lot of items and cover as well. So if an enemy's inside a small building, you can just flush him out or her out by throwing a grenade.
And what's happening with these ghouls are sort of connected by this?
Okay, that's the Mutant, the sect zealot there. He's casting a boost on the sect ghoul. So basically, he's controlling a big group of the ghouls, and he's basically boosting that guy and making him super on steroids. So now he's very, very dangerous. But the downside for him is if you kill the sect zealot, he will also take the sect ghoul with him.
Okay.
And later in the game, they will be able to possess the player and do all sorts of horrible stuff to you.
So XCOM is known for being very difficult. Is that something? Would your game also be described as very difficult?
I think we've got fair difficulties, right?
Okay.
We've got an easy. I believe that people, when they buy a game and they pay money for a game, they should be able to see more or less most of it, right? Yeah. There should be some bits that are there for some hardcore players to work hard at. Sure. So yeah, I mean, there's an easy difficulty that should let most players get in to the game and do pretty well. But then we give that hardcore difficulty and the permadeath on top of that to really give the hardcore players something they can get their teeth into.
Yeah, sure, that makes sense. So like I said earlier, you guys announced your release date today, which is December 4th. Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm sure that's been a long time coming.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very exciting to be announcing. It's very exciting to be announcing the date. It also puts the pressure on us now. We've got to get the game finished. It's real now. We can't start giving out dates and then saying, "Oh, we've changed our mind. It's going to be later." We're going to get a lot of flack for that. So we got the game team working hard back home at the office. They're fixing bugs and they're polishing and getting the game into a really good state.
So December 4th on what platforms?
Xbox One, PS4, and PC.
Very cool. The game looks awesome. I'm really excited to play it. Thank you so much for coming by the IGN stage here at Gamescom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. More to come from IGN Live at Gamescom 2018 after this.